Hello and welcome back to Talk Back Wednesday. I'm your host, Maddie and today's topic focuses on mobile video production. Joining us today are three speakers to provide us insight on their experiences as media content creators. Our first guest is Tchad Moore. He is a multimedia creator and event producer who serves as senior event architect for Inventus Media. Since 2004, he has served as a trainer production technician at the award-winning Montgomery Community Media. As a freelance photographer and videographer, Tchad has created influential digital content for Amazon, the American Cancer Society, American Film Institute, Discovery Communications, and the March of Dimes. Welcome to our show, Mr. Moore.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
Our next guest is Mark Leeke. Welcome. Mark Leeke is currently a media production specialist, having received a BFA from the Atlanta College of Art in video production and computer graphics. With a career in commercial broadcasting starting at CNN in Atlanta, QVC in Pennsylvania, Reuters in New York service in Tokyo, and Comcast in Boston. Mark has experienced every aspect of broadcast production. In 2006, Mark returned to his hometown of Washington, D.C. and started working in the nonprofit sector at DC-TV. As the technical manager in the production department, some of his duties were updating the technology and equipment in the studios, editing suites, and field productions, as well as project managing members during their productions. Mark has utilized many of his skills sets on production for DC-TV from directing, lighting, audio, videography, set design, and even editing. Mark still does production work in the DMV as a freelancer.
Good afternoon.
And our last guest is Khari Dawson. Khari is a former participant in MCM's Youth Media Academy and is a recent high school graduate who will be attending the University of San Francisco in the fall to study English and film. She is a writer and filmmaker who was recently selected by the Kennedy Center to create a 45-minute microfilm for their recent Art Under a Minute season. She enjoys writing short fiction and hopes to be a major screenwriter one day. She was a writer and producer for MCM Youth Media Academy's show Arts and Power during the fall 2020 and spring 2021 programs. Welcome, Khari.
Thank you for having me.
So if any of our guests want to talk about themselves a little more, give a little more insight.
Yeah, so my name is actually Tchad Moore. The T is silent. That's okay. You guys can fix that in post. I've been called Tchad many times before, and much worse. So that's fine. I'm good with that. As you could probably tell, I am not mobile. Actually, I am stationary in the MCM production studio A. We actually are doing a production right now. We're actually doing the chords for production that's going to happen later this year in October for a nonprofit. And so, but yeah, I started at MCM back in 2003. One of the first people I met was one of my trainers, Allie Potter, who's over my left shoulder there. Hi, Allie, you want to wave? Allie is great. She's been here for a long time too, and she's the one who actually taught me about audio, about lighting, about TDing, basically about everything here that I was able to learn in the studio at MCM. So yeah, so this is it's kind of interesting to be on this program now, doing this with such great people. Like I said, I always enjoy working with Allie. She's great people. She's well, just really fun and just lots of.
And then we also got a video from Tchad Moore, so we're gonna play that now to show you some of his work.
Brookside Gardens in Wheaton has opened a temporary outdoor art installation. Titled Facets of Hope, the exhibit remembers COVID-19 victims in Montgomery County by suspending a single strand of crystals for every life lost to the virus.
March 6th was the anniversary of the first date that a patient in Montgomery County was diagnosed with COVID-19. So it feels like March is important. It's the first day of spring. You know, we're all being really hopeful. We're looking forward to better things.
So far, more than 1,400 strands have been hung in honor of county residents. As seasons change, strands of crystals will continue to be added for victims through mid-September when the exhibit ends. Clusters of wisteria flowers will bloom mid-April, followed by roses during summer months. Facets of Hope was created using vintage chandelier crystals.
So that was a video by Tchad Moore. And so would you like to tell us a little bit about that and what it took to create it?
It was a team effort. So yeah, I was a principal photographer on that, working with Miriam Shahzad, our producer and reporter. Editing was done by Adam Wyatt, who I think you had on last week. But I really like that that piece because it's basically we're out in a favorite park of mine, our place, Wheaton Regional Park, and it was a nice piece. And we had the benefit of good lighting and good weather at the time, so I think it turned out really well. But that is a classic example of mobile ENG production that we do at MCM.
Do any of the other guests have anything to say or talk about?
I'm actually mobile, as hopefully people can tell. I'm in my car. I actually thought the event would be in person, so I'm outside MCM, but I've connected on my mobile phone. Career-wise, if somebody were to ask me what all I do, it would be a long conversation because I completely have experienced every position in a studio environment, as well as everything out in the field. The different experiences I've had have benefited me to be able to take all of that knowledge and experience and turn it around and be able to instruct folks from high school age to senior citizens on how to go about using those skill sets to create content. So I've been, as my bio said, I've been in the nonprofit sector of broadcasting for 14 years. And recently I went and due to COVID, I'm now a freelancer. So I'm having a variety of different experiences, from doing field shoots to helping people actually set up their own home offices or smaller organizations, turn into so that they are able to go virtual with their businesses. So that's, to sum it up, that's pretty much my experience of what I'm doing now in broadcasting.
Thank you. Next, we're going to show a piece from Khari's work, and then we can talk about that.
Not because we are dead, but because we are translucent. We are the bricks on the houses, the asphalt beneath the wheels, still, but concealed, in a constant state of repose. Sometimes, even among each other, it is hard to be seen. What is the difference between what is invisible and what doesn't exist? We are ghosts. Every year we hope to come alive again, and every year we are laid to rest.
That's
So would you like to explain what it took to create that and give us a little insight on it?
Sure. So I got the opportunity to make that movie through the Kennedy Center. They were doing a project called Art Under a Minute, where they had young filmmakers and media makers make like short films or videos that were meant to go on social media. And the concept was we all had to depict what we thought 2021 or just the future in general would look like. And I thought that the future would look kind of similar to what it does now, where people of color, specifically Black women, are kind of marginalized and put to the side in our society. And so that's kind of what I was going for with that. And yeah, I casted all my friends in it. Those are all my friends in the video. One of my best friends did the voiceover for it. And yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. It was very good. I think we're gonna ask questions now. So I think Marcus, you wanna go first?
Okay. First question we have is, what has been your experience creating media with your smartphone, and what do you think have been the benefits of using a smartphone to create media?
I can answer that question. I have been, I've used my smartphone to quite a few times as a second camera. And it really has paid off, especially when you go into events as just a one camera, and you come back and you're able to give your editor quite a bit more footage, because I could be shooting from one angle with the main camera and see something else. And my smartphone is sometimes has been even a better camera than the main camera, because my smartphone shoots in 4K. The thing that I love about it is everywhere I go, I have my smartphone with me. So I'm always in a position to be able to pull my camera out and shoot at moment's notice. So it has been beneficial, especially when I've traveled. I've made a couple of short pieces during my times of travel. It has been a great behind the scenes camera when I've been out on productions. Once everything is going, I will occasionally pull the smartphone out and grab some B-roll from either behind the camera, or if I'm doing audio, I can create content showing exactly what I'm doing on a shoot.
Thank you. To our other guests, could you answer that too, from your perspective?
So a lot of what you saw in that video of mine is a lot of my shot selection was done on an iPhone. Like those chandelier shards, kind of hard to get a camera that roughly is about this big. I know in the zoom frame is kind of hard to see, but we're talking about 18 inches of a camera lens. It's, you have to hold over your shoulder. It's really hard to get up and get really great angles of stuff. So I used my iPhone as a way of just sort of blocking my shots to try to figure out what the best angle is. And some of the shots that you saw there were taken with my iPhone. So to Mark's point, an iPhone or a mobile device, excuse me, gives you another angle, another look at a particular subject matter that you normally wouldn't see if you're using a traditional camera or a DSLR. So that's what I like about that. And yes, to Mark's point, it's just the images is really, really great if you have the exposure right.
Thank you for sharing. Our next question is, when you're creating media with a device other than a camera, what are some things that you have to pay attention to make sure the quality of the content is not diminished?
I would, one safety step I use if I'm going to use my smartphone, and I always have it with me, is like a lens, like a lens cleaner, lens wipe, because, most of the time my phone is in my pocket, and easily some dust particles can easily get on your camera lens. So if I'm getting ready to shoot, I'll quickly wipe brush the lens just to make sure it's clear. Because, if I'm going to shoot and I know that my smartphone is the only recording device, that's something, I want to make sure that I'm going to get a clear picture, as well as, if there's an event, and I'm sure a lot of people have been involved with shooting, some long form events with their phone, you always want to make sure that you have plenty of battery power. And one device that works for me is, I have this little device. This is a charger that I'm currently on because, my phone needed charging. Obviously being on Zoom, it's going to take a lot of juice. So those are two things that, as I say, you want to have with you if you're going to use your smartphone as your primary recording device. And the other thing that I'll say, and this is an excellent plug for iPhone, is, in my opinion, the microphone has been really, the microphone on it, it's no joke. It's a pretty good microphone for recording. I've actually have shot what, I'll call them MOSs, man on the streets, quick interviews, just with the phone and not having to plug in an external microphone. And audio has been very clear. I've even instructed people to use your phone if you're in an isolated room to record a voiceover. So the iPhone, once again, it is a very good recording platform.
Thank you. Those are some good points. What about you, Khari? Do you have anything to say?
Not really about the iPhone aspect of it, because I don't really use my iPhone to make movies and things of that nature. I use a DSLR. But one thing that I make sure to always do is, when I'm not recording, I always have the lens cover on, just to keep it clean, like Mark was talking about, make sure no dust gets into it. And if I were to drop it, unfortunately, it wouldn't, get cracked or anything.
Thank you. What about you, Tchad Moore?
Yeah, I agree with Khari and Mark. Having a clean image is key. One of the things I also like to do is I like to have some sort of stabilization device, and it's really hard to see with my webcam. But I have something that I got from Five Below. Basically, it's a clamp on one end that clamps to the desk, and the other end, sorry, there we go, right there, is the clamp for the phone. I like to have my images really, really steady. The iPhone or mobile devices in general, DSLRs with certain lenses, have really great stabilization, but the steadier the image, the better, the more usable the image. And I find that it's just hard with my hands. I can't hold this phone like this and shoot a good image. So I usually have some sort of device where I actually can hold it and move it around in a more controlled fashion. So that's my tip for there.
Thank you.
That's I'm a kind of an opposite to that, where I've been real steady with using the iPhone and shooting with my hand. I've had 2 and 3 editors I've worked with for years who've used my footage and have said they thought that was the DSLR footage, and I said, no, that's the iPhone. And they've asked, what mount did I use? I said, that's my hand that is holding. And they're like, holy, that's incredible that, you know, I've done steady shots where I've actually have walked for 5 minutes with holding the camera in the middle of a crowd, and it's been a very steady image. You know, one editor has said they truly could not guess, make a decision as to which camera that footage came from.
Thank you. We have one more question. I think Marcus is going to ask it.
Yes. Our final question is, what are 2 tips that you have for a filmmaker just starting out who only has a phone as their device to shoot on?
My first reply would be, you are in a position where you have no limitations. If you can think and visualize how to get a shot, then with your phone, you can get a shot. If you have a newer iPhone, obviously from 7 on up, you can shoot in almost any weather type situations. So, you know, depending upon what type of content you're wanting to create, again, there are very, very few limitations. And if you are making investments in accessories, again, with your iPhone, the accessories are not as expensive as compared to using traditional video cameras and some DSLR accessories. So it is about any type of production you're going to do. Before you even get to that location, you know, or the day of the shoot, try to do your best to do as much research as possible, to see and figure out what accessories are available to you that you don't already have.
I would tell them to not expect to be at a certain point right at the start of their career. I feel like with any new skill that you start, you expect yourself to be kind of like the people that you look up to right off the bat, and that's just not realistic. I feel like we should give ourselves grace and realize that it's a process and you have to grow in order to be at a certain point at a skill. So yeah, I would say just be patient.
Yeah, that's a great point. Be patient, and I would say the technology has given us a chance just to take chances. Don't be afraid. It used to be that you know, I mean, the only way to, I mean, pencils. Well, I mean, what am I trying to say? Is that you can record something. If it doesn't work, you can record it again. You can delete it. You know, I think we all remember a time, at least I do, when you just had a finite amount of film that you had to work with to create a story. So you had to Mark's point, really prepare and research in order to get that idea to film, because you only had one shot or maybe 2 shots at it, and that was it. Now these devices give us an opportunity just to go for it. Take a shot. If it doesn't work, erase it, delete it, try again. So yeah, do your research, I would say, for sure. Have an idea, be patient if it doesn't work out, to Khari's point. But yeah, at the end of the day, you know, you can always try again, because you know, these phones give us, these devices give us almost infinite attempts at perfection.
Thank you for all of your tips. And we would like to thank you for coming to our show and taking time out of your day. We learned a lot about media making, and we would like to thank you for your insights. So join us next week for another edition of Talk Back Wednesdays. I'm Maddie Heffling with Marcus Steen.